All right, so the San Antonio Spurs are continuing to cook.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, got a quick video for you here. We got some news today that I thought was pretty good news. And yeah, the Spurs are continuing to do their thing, even though the offseason has come to an end. The offseason has come to an end, right? I don't think we count. We typically don't count preseason. Like it's like once we hit preseason, it's over, right? We don't wait till regular season. Just trying to make sure. Let me clear that up. But yeah, so the Spurs are still doing their thing, and the season has basically started. And I think that this is a pretty good move, man. I think it's a pretty good deal that they got going here. So the Spurs are never complacent. They're always looking for the best thing that could make their team better. And as we can see here, they took on Jalen McDaniels and a second-round draft pick. And what did they do? They waived Jalen McDaniels. So basically what they did was it was just a salary dump. They said, hey, we'll take Jalen McDaniels off your hands, get rid of him. And then as far as draft picks are concerned, some people were confused by this. I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen it directly reported yet, but I'm pretty sure the Spurs gave away one of their second-round picks for the Kings' second-round pick. And some people might say, like, well, why would you just get rid of a second for a second? But more than likely what it is the Spurs pick is protected while the Kings pick is unprotected, which that would make sense. And it's likely that the second round pick doesn't even convey for the Kings, right? And, but we can take on any pick we want in that regard. So just overall, I think it's a really nice move. And, it just shows that the Spurs aren't complacent. They're continuously trying to make their squad as good as possible. And I've said this time and time again, and I know that some people feel as if, hey, it's going to take time before you can get on that boat, which I'm totally fine with. Like, I understand that, like, totally, where people will say, I'm not quick to say Brian Wright is a good GM. Like, I'm just not quick to say it. But me personally, I am. I think that he has done a very good job. And it seems like at this point, if the Spurs aren't successful, I can't say with a straight face that the front office isn't doing everything in their power to make sure that the Spurs are successful. Nothing is guaranteed. Don't get me wrong. Nothing is guaranteed. But as it stands right now, every move that they made, every small move that they made has been a pretty big deal. I know some people have brought up Rob Dillingham and they bring up Luka Samanic and they bring up Josh Primo, and I understand that, right? I understand that. I don't mean to make excuses here, but the Josh Primo situation, no one could have saw that coming. I don't know what to tell you. And I don't think anyone could have saw that coming. And with the Luka Samanic one, if you go back to that draft, and you go to any draft really, look at those players on that draft board and tell me which ones are still in the NBA. It doesn't happen. A lot of times guys don't make it. Even mid to late first round picks do not make it in the NBA very long. So it's I don't know. I just think it's a little biased on our part to see the Spurs have a player here or two that don't work out and then say, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, we are a failure of a franchise. Our front office sucks. I don't necessarily see it that way, right? I don't see it that way at all. Also, Luka Samanic was not Brian Wright's guy, right? He just wasn't. That was R.C. Buford's guy. Anyways, and then the Rob Dillingham thing, you still have to kind of wait and see how that conveys. Speaking of which, I actually wanted to take a look at some of our future picks coming up just for a reminder. So we have here the Chicago Bulls protected 1 through 10. And, we've heard a little bit about the Chicago Bulls, and it seems as if they are going to attempt to win. And if that's the case, if they are in the conversation doing a pretty good job, this might convey, right? We might get a pick outside of the top 10 from Chicago. We had to just kind of wait and see there. As far as the Hornets, kind of the same thing, right? I don't think this will convey. I think it'll eventually just turn to second round picks, to be honest with you. But possibly we'll have to wait and see there. Atlanta Hawks, they're going to attempt to win, but I just don't think that they'll be good enough, and we'll get a lottery pick out of that. And then as you can see, we have our own first round pick, which Spurs probably don't make the playoffs. I think we'll be a really good team and way better than people think, but I don't know if we make the playoffs. So we're more than likely looking at 2 lottery picks in this upcoming draft. So they're doing a great job there. And then we get that second round pick. Now, the one that has people kind of scratching their heads because Rob Dillingham has looked pretty doggone decent is some of these future picks down here. So if we look at, let's see. Yeah, here it is. We got the Minnesota not protected 2031. A lot of people don't like that. And what was the other one? Was it 2030? I'm a little confused. I don't see it on here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I see it right here. So we got a Minnesota pick swap in 2030, and then we have a non-protected first in 2031. And I know that that's like, oh, that's so far away. You know, what's the point of that? But keep in mind that 2 first-round picks, basically unprotected, is really good, especially when you think about it contextually, right? Like, let's say the Spurs don't package this away somewhere and they actually keep it. Well, that's actually pretty nice, because by 2030, the Spurs should be a pretty successful team, I would say. Like, we should be championship contenders, if not won a championship around that time. That's what I'm expecting. And I think at that point, you know, you're not going to have really great picks. But Minnesota, if you look at their team, a lot of guys are going to be gone, right? I mean, you're going to have Anthony Edwards. He'll still be a monster, but he'll be 29. You know, Gobert won't be there probably. You know, Conley, we don't know what he'll probably be gone. So yeah, they're just not going to look like the same team. I think Minnesota knows right now is the time for them to try to win, and they're going to be very aggressive in that regard. And by the Spurs taking advantage of that, saying, okay, you're trying to win now, go ahead and give us that 2030, give us that 2031. And we're expecting, on our timeline, we're expecting to be a successful team by that year anyways. So it's going to look much better in the future. But I think contextually, it made a lot of sense for the Spurs to do that. So they are ramping up. I know it gets a little frustrating at times to just say, oh my God, we got all these picks. We got all these second round picks, especially in 2026, where you can see OKC, Dallas, and or Philadelphia. You got the Indiana pick, the Pelicans, Utah. That's a lot. 4 second round picks is a lot. I guarantee you they are not using all 4 second round picks in 2026. Okay, that is not going to be the case. This is a way of packaging it for something better. And I think after the 2025 draft, we'll have another season, kind of know where we're at, what we're looking for, what we need. And then at that point, you could probably bring in some veterans or well-seasoned players and go ahead and fill out that roster a little bit. So I think it's been masterful. I don't think I've ever seen a rebuild quite like this happen so fast. You know, people want to go back to the DeMar DeRozan days and the LA days and say, we've been rebuilding since then. No, we haven't. We have not been rebuilding since LaMarcus Aldridge. That's just silly. If anything, you could critique the Spurs for not rebuilding earlier, but you can't critique them for rebuilding this entire time. They have not been rebuilding. They took their sweet time. But once they actually kicked into gear and said, all right, we're tanking, they immediately was able to get way more out of DeJounte Murray than they should have. Okay, he was not worth what we got for him. And that's the rest is history there. And you got Wembanyama and everything. So it's just been so smooth. I don't know. As a Spurs fan and also as a Cowboys fan, I cannot say with a straight face that the Spurs have not been doing their thing and they do not have a competent front office, because I know exactly what that looks like. Lord knows I know what that looks like. Good God, I hate Jerry Jones. But that's all I have to say. I think the Spurs are doing a phenomenal job, doing a great job there. And yeah, man, we're really set for the future. So this was another, while it is small, it's like, no one really cares about this. It is a big deal, man. It shows that we're constantly trying to get better. And these small moves, I guarantee you, it means a lot to Wembanyama. So anybody that's worried, like, will he stay? Is he going to go? This type of stuff means a lot to him. And also, if you want a few more details, here's a little nitpick. Nitpick? Is that what I was trying to say? I don't know. This is a little bit that we can talk about before ending the video. But McDaniels is on an expiring contract and will earn $4.7 million during the 24-25 season. San Antonio can use its $8 million room mid-level exception to add him, while Sacramento moves from $1 million below the luxury tax to $5.8 million under the tax following the deal, per ESPN Bobby Marks. And then they just go on and talk about the Kings. But it looks like the Spurs are planning to go ahead and, you know, let your boy go. Okay, that's what it looks like they're trying to do there. Let your boy go. Actually, I didn't read this one. Wait, the 26-year-old was initially acquired by Sacramento in June, traded. Oh, okay, never mind. That has nothing to do with this. But yeah, just wanted to talk to you guys about this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will get with you later, man. Until next time, bye.